In the UK elections, we see now UK Prime Minister Theresa May's Conservative Party has lost the majority in Parliament after a shock election result. Details coming up at 7. Well, tomorrow begins the 9th Child Trauma Conference. Experts in the child protection practice will gather in Durban and build critical knowledge in this field. They will also discuss prevention and response to trauma, neglect or abuse. To tell us more, we're joined by the facilitator of the event, Edith Kriel, Executive Director at Jelly Beans. Edith, thank you very much for joining us and welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you. Good morning.
So this conference coming at a time when there have been so many cases of abuse and violence against our children on a daily basis. What is your take on the scourge of these incidents?
Unfortunately, our children are so vulnerable in our country, and the cases that are shown in the media are really just the very few or the very worst.
Yeah.
But we know on a daily basis our children are being hurt, abused, they're witnessing violence in their homes and in their communities, and this has a huge impact for the children in terms of coping emotionally, psychologically, how they're going to grow, and also how they're going to learn or sometimes not be able to learn because of the trauma that they've experienced. So for us, this is a really big concern that our children are not safe.
Yeah.
And we need all the help that we can get from fellow South Africans to change this for our children.
Edith, how do children deal with trauma?
Sure. Well, I suppose it depends on the environment that they're in. Often when children have supportive parents or families, communities, they are able to, if I can use the words, bounce back. They're able to get through the trauma. But many of our children, in fact the majority of our children, never do get the help and support that they need. Therapy is something that's mostly inaccessible. We don't have enough social workers out there who are able to do the work with the children. And so for many of our children, it's something that they have to learn to live with.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time they sort of suppress all the scary stuff, but it bubbles out in terms of inappropriate behaviors, risk behaviors, aggression, sexual acting out, in all sorts of negative ways.
Yeah.
We see some of the consequences of the abuse and neglect.
I mean, what kind of challenges do you as practitioners face out on the field?
Sure. I think for me, if I was without a job, that would be the best day of my life, because that would mean that there's no kids out there being hurt.
Yeah.
So the challenge for us is the vast number of children that are being hurt and neglected. It's kind of a never-ending stream, and of course the challenge is then also having enough people to do the work, having enough funding to do the work, and passion, because a lot of our child protection professionals are either burnt out or numbed off to all of the trauma that they have to deal with, which makes it then very difficult for children to feel supported.
Yeah, it's a very sad situation we find ourselves in as a country. It really is. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I do need to speak to you about the conference and ask you for some of the details. So this is the 9th conference that's taking place. Tell us a little bit about it. It starts tomorrow, ends on Sunday. What are you going to be dealing with specifically at the conference?
Okay, so this is the pre-conference to the National AIDS Conference. So one of the streams that we're very interested in looking at is the impact of HIV/AIDS on children and the vulnerable places it leaves children in terms of further abuse and neglect. We're going to be looking at child sexual abuse as a specific stream as well, and then child trauma. So we're going to be looking at kind of a variety of different things. We're very excited to have some amazing keynote speakers, Justice Edwin Cameron, Joan van Niekerk. We've even got an international speaker coming to share with us. So it really is about sharing ideas, sharing practice ideas, in terms of what works, and then also networking, which I think is a really important thing.
All right, we've got to leave it there. 7 o'clock, unfortunately. Thank you so much for joining us. We wish you the best of luck with such a vital conference. It's the 9th Child Trauma Conference that is taking place this weekend, really gathering the decision makers and those that are in the fields to build critical knowledge in the field of child